Hi, welcome back. This is Adventures with Dr. Joe. Please do consider subscribing and clicking like, helps the channel a lot. Let's fully winterize this Volvo Penta engine. This is a Chaparral Sunesta 244, and we've got a Volvo Penta 270 horsepower with a Volvo Penta stern drive or outdrive. We can winterize this completely from inside the boat. We don't have to go to the outdrive. We don't have to use muffs. And this is particularly helpful if you're on a lift, if you're not bringing your boat in for the winter, or if you have it on the trailer. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take off this shroud. Again, this is a Volvo Penta 270 horsepower. It's a V8 engine. It's a General Motors engine, small block, and it's in thousands and thousands of watercrafts. Incredibly durable and really works really well. These are some of the things we need for winterizing. We need a new oil filter. This is the oil filter. We have a gas filter, and we need 5 quarts of oil. In addition, we need some coolant, and this is going to help us with this. And we also have an oil pump here. So we're going to do all of those things. This is one of the things that's made this engine dramatically better. This allows us to run the engine out of the water either with a garden hose in here, or we're going to put the antifreeze in here, which is going to help us a lot. In here is the oil filter. It's an oil filter element. And in here, this is the gas filter. Here's the dipstick where we're going to put our pump to pull the oil out. And this is the oil fill area that we're going to fill those 5 quarts of oil back. And then back here is the battery we're going to connect our pump to. To really do the proper winterization, Volvo says don't use normal gas. So I disconnected this line to the gas tank and connected a 1/2 inch threaded area to a nipple, and I've run that into that can that has my chainsaw gas mixture. It's 2-cycle, 50-to-1. They suggest that, which will coat all the parts internally when you winterize this. So to winterize this Volvo engine, we need to drain the water, which requires emptying 3 petcocks. One here, one here. To properly empty the water, we need to remove the water from 1, 2, and 3. There's a 3rd petcock down here. So we're going to take those all out, drain those, and then use a pipe cleaner to run it in there and see if we can get any other obstructions out of there. This one's closed. Hook that to a tube. This one's closed. And this one's closed. We've got some petcocks here that we need to open up and drain. One, 2, and then there's a 3rd one. All the way down here. So we've got the petcocks drained. Now I got the 2-cycle engine fuel here going into the fuel pump, and now we're going to connect the winterizing solution, the antifreeze, to this, which is incredibly more convenient. So we're going to screw that tight and start to fill it up. we go. And here's the jug of the coolant, and we can just open this valve, start running that fluid in there. Under the galley here is a switch that currently is at off. This is the battery. Now we're going to turn that on and start the engine. For the winter, we leave it on a battery tender, but we leave it in the off position so there's no chance of it running down. Okay, the engine's on. And we're running fluid into the block and into the manifolds. And we're running this on the engine, or the gas that's got the oil in it. So it's going well. Warming up. And we're going to stop that in a minute once all the coolant's in there. So we can see some of that pink fluid that's coming out of the outdrive. It's marine friendly. So that means we've got it really filled up, and we've also got the engine warmed up, so the oil should flow pretty well. So now we're going to disconnect the fuel line, because we've been running on this and it did remarkably well. We're going to disconnect that and spin this. Spin this connection off and then replace the original. Okay, so I've taken the fuel line off that I had connected to the gas with the oil in it, the 2-cycle, and we're putting in this connection. This takes a 3/4 inch, and we'll tighten this and then reconnect that. So this is where the fuel filter is, and I used one of these band straps and I was able to loosen it. So you can see I got this band clamp and see how it's turning and loosening that. So we got it on the run. So I've got one of these cold brew coffee things. I just cut the bottom off. I'm going to put this beneath here so that when this comes off, it's not going to spill any fuel. So I caught it in this and I was able to save it from leaking. So the fuel's here. Now we're going to put the new filter on, but I'm going to fill it with fuel first and then put some oil on the gasket, on the seal. Okay, so I got some oil on the gasket, and this is supposed to be basically just hand tightened. So I'm going to try to tighten it with 2 hands, and then the gas filter has been replaced. I'm going to take the dipstick out and just set it aside, and then we've got this pump. It's connected to 12 volt to the battery. I'm going to put this tube we're going to loosen this oil fill so there's no suction, no vacuum, and turn it on. It's going to take 5 to 7 minutes. We've got the collection bottle down here, which is where the antifreeze came in. So we're pumping away. We almost have a gallon out in our first container. Remember, there are 5 quarts, so it's going to be a gallon and a quart. We'll keep pumping. So here's all the oil I got out. It is about 5 quarts. And now I'm going to put the oil filter in. It goes in here. This says to tighten this to 25.5 Newton meters. So what I did was I just took a magic marker and marked where this thing is right now, and I'll return it to that. And that should basically restore that torque. To take this off, you can use a fancy ratchet like this. That's 36 millimeters, or just an adjustable wrench like this will take it off as well. Okay, so we've got it pretty loose. There it is. There's the old one. So this is the new filter and the new O-ring. We'll take the oil filter out, old one, let it drip, and I'll just put it in this. Put it in this box where the new one is. So this is how the old one is. We'll set this aside and get the new one. Alright, we'll take the old O-ring off of here. Set it aside. Put the new O-ring on. Get it all the way down where it's supposed to be. Oil filter in and put it back together. We're gonna just put it back together. So we've tightened it back where I've lined this up. So we've now winterized this Volvo 270. What did we do? Took out the petcocks, cleaned them out, let all the water drain from the block and the exhaust manifolds. We started the engine, ran it with the 2-cycle engine mix, 50-to-1, to coat everything. At the same time, filled it with eco-friendly antifreeze through a nice fitting they had here after we closed all the petcocks. Then replaced the fuel line, changed the fuel filter, emptied the oil, and then changed the oil filter element. Now, in the past you'd have to fog these engines, but you don't need to do that because you've already run the oil gas mixture, the 2-cycle fuel basically through it, and that took care of that. This is now ready to handle very cold weather, far below freezing, with no issue. I don't think we'll have any problems with it, and in the spring should fire right up. I'm excited about that. Again, Adventures with Dr. Joe. Consider subscribing. If you click like, it helps the channel a lot. Thank you very much.